Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for a short InterExchange overview, how to fund a year abroad in Canada, Ireland, Australia, or New Zealand. I'm Melissa.
And I'm James.
And today we'll be going over the topics you see here. Most importantly, we'll tell you how US citizens can get a working holiday visa in one of these countries, allowing you to travel
and work
for up to a year. So InterExchange has been around a long time, supporting visitors to the US who come here for work and travel and similar programs. In fact, when you return to the US from your time abroad, you'll have the chance to connect with exchange visitors here if you want. Most importantly for you, we connect US citizens with work and travel opportunities overseas. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and someone from our team will be glad to assist you.
Great, thanks Melissa. So we want to really emphasize that a working holiday should be an adventure and a chance to make new friends, see and try new things, have an open-ended travel experience while you can, but again, with the ability to make some money by working as you go. A working holiday should be an adventure with income. A working holiday implies that a foreign government has a visa available for individuals to travel there with the ability to work. A working holiday visa is the official permit to live, travel, and work in a specific country, and you will need to get this permit before you head out. We'll provide the information you need to do this. Now, not all countries have this kind of visa, and those that do have their own take on it, which we'll talk about now, starting with
Canada. We have participants heading up to British Columbia for ski jobs, working at summer camps, and those who are intrigued by the city life in Toronto or Vancouver. You're able to live, work, and travel anywhere. Most types of work are okay, although there are some restrictions against work in some education, medical, or childcare related fields. You can be 18 to 35, and you can travel for a year, leaving and returning. And you can participate up to 2 times. In Canada, you're officially participating on International Experience Canada, a program of Citizenship and Immigration Canada. They require that US citizens work with a private organization that they recognize. One of those is Swap Working Holidays, who will be your support once you're up in Canada, and InterExchange supports participants in the US during the application phase.
And I just want to point out that on these next few slides, the minimum wages are displayed. They are converted to US dollars, so they are approximate. In many cases, you will earn more than the minimum wage, though. And what we mean by support funds is that for visa purposes, participants are expected to be able to support themselves with some kind of savings to start with. Whether you will be asked for proof of this can vary, but it is important to have savings to cover you initially, especially for that first month. All right, so Ireland. Participants in Ireland will start in Dublin and often live and work there, but Galway and Cork are also popular, and you can also travel and work in other places throughout the country. In Ireland, you'll obtain what's known as the Working Holiday Authorization, which we can actually get for you if you do the 4-month option. But there is also a full year option that requires that you mail your visa application to an Irish consulate in the US. So if you want to go for a full year, we will provide information on how to do that. And it's not actually that difficult. There's no age cap for the Ireland program, but you must be either a current student of a post-secondary program or a recent graduate within the past 12 months. If you're not a student of an associate's, bachelor's, master's, or PhD program or a recent graduate, then unfortunately you won't be eligible for the Ireland program. So in that case, you might consider one of the other locations, like?
All right, Australia. We have 2 options. The first is a freestyle program like the others. You decide where to live and travel and work with support in the background. You begin your program with orientation and pre-booked accommodation in either Sydney or Melbourne and venture out from there. In Australia, most applicants are able to go online and get their visas approved pretty quickly. You must be between 18 and 30 years old. The visa is valid for 1 year and is multiple entry in case you want to go over to Fiji or Thailand or New Zealand or something like that. A lot of participants want to travel along the beach, so they will start from Melbourne or Sydney and make their way up the coast. Note that most of the job resources will focus on Sydney or Melbourne, but you'll have access to a jobs database that lists positions elsewhere.
All right, we have another option in Australia, which is focused on the outback. So the requirements are the same as with the Freestyle Australia program in terms of the visa, but we also need to see that you can handle rugged conditions and that you'll have, because you will have a job placement on this program. It will be on a ranch or farm, often working with live animals. So it's best if you've done something similar, that you're open to manual labor, can handle rugged conditions in general. The program starts with a beach getaway for 4 nights. The reason for that is that it is fun, but also because then you're well rested for a 5-day training on a farm. You're going to train to work around animals, do minor repairs, work with chainsaws, and there is a focus on safety, as there should be for this kind of work. During training, you'll get a job placement, and the minimum you'll earn is roughly $260 a week US, but it's actually highly likely that you're going to earn more than that, particularly if you've done anything similar before. But that's the minimum. For the Outback program, so you'll be going to a training and then a job is organized for you. And this will probably start within a few days of the training, and jobs usually last a few months. So you can work for a few months, take your savings and go traveling, and then if you want, you can go back to work up to a full year. Also, you can take on jobs in other industries or along the coasts that are not necessarily on farms, but that would really be up to you to organize. If that's what you want to do the whole time, then the Freestyle Work and Travel Australia program is definitely a better bet.
So New Zealand's appeal for most participants is the natural beauty. You'll start in Auckland, but will most likely want to expand from there. Auckland is a good place to start as there are more businesses and therefore more jobs. For that country, you'll get a working holiday visa online. The process is pretty straightforward and currently is free for US citizens.
And with the New Zealand program as well, it's a multiple entry visa, which means that once you enter, you have 1 year that you can stay, but you're allowed to leave and come back in that time, as long as your visa is still valid. So if you feel like traveling over to Australia just to visit for a little while, going up to Fiji, Thailand, you can do that, and then come back and continue working for up to that year. So how are you supported on these programs? Orientation is provided upon arrival in all countries, as well as accommodation. In Canada, these things are optional because for Canada, we find that a lot of people are going straight to a specific place for a job. So that's up to you, but it is included. There are hosting centers at all arrival points, which are Dublin in Ireland, Sydney and Melbourne in Australia, Auckland, New Zealand, and in Canada, the starting points are Vancouver and Toronto. So you can go to these centers, you will go to them for orientation, but you can also pop in anytime that they're open, which is normal business hours during the week. You can go to the hosting centers as just a meeting point. You can talk to the staff there about jobs. You can have them review your resume. You can use the internet or consult with a team about your travel plans. And when you're not in one of those major cities, the staff can still help you through phone or email. So again, you are free to structure your own time and travels, but we encourage you to reach out with questions as you go. These programs are a two-way thing. So we're not lining up a job on your behalf, but we support you with things like jobs databases, job support staff, social activities, and more. It's important that you're proactive and reliable and have a good attitude and a bit of flexibility when you travel in general, but especially when you're looking for a seasonal job abroad. So again, self-structured and independent, but support in the background.
If you have a specific career, interest, or goal for work, by all means pursue it and we'll do our best to help. But it is important to be open to much more seasonal and often low-skill work that is usually widely available for people traveling on a working holiday. If you're reasonably flexible about the kind of work and location, you should not have trouble stringing together jobs. If you aren't going to arrive and have a job lined up on your behalf, although many of our participants heading to Canada already have a general idea of what they're going to do, so it's important to have some savings. In Australia and New Zealand, we also include WWOOF membership.
So WWOOF membership stands for Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, or in some cases, Willing Workers on Organic Farms. We include membership to that for Australia and New Zealand. That would not be a paid experience, but it is one more resource for you if you'd like to organize stays on organic farms, to work just usually about 4 to 6 hours a day in exchange for room and board. So it's a nice option to have in those two countries, just to give you other locations that you can stay in and try something new. And we do see some questions coming in on the live chat through YouTube, so we will be getting to those in just a moment. Regarding accommodation, though, briefly, our programs in Ireland, New Zealand, and Australia will include a few nights of accommodation upon arrival. For the Outback program, your employer will also house you. In Canada, the pre-booked accommodation is optional, since, again, a lot of people already have a plan for somewhere specific that they want to go in Canada, maybe a friend that they're staying with. So that's fine. If you want just a few nights, we can book that for you in Vancouver or Toronto at the beginning of your program. After those first few nights, you choose where to live. So most people are going to get an apartment or maybe stay in a few hostels along the way during their travels. That's a great way to meet other people. So you'll probably want to stay in a couple hostels in different cities, especially if you're traveling solo. Some people take a road trip at some point, rent a camper van for a few weeks, maybe do some camping, but inevitably you are going to want to settle down and rent an apartment at some stage along the way. And if you're struggling, we can help you find a place, but it really is ultimately up to you where you decide to live.
So to get started, you'll go to app.interexchange.org. It's more of a straightforward enrollment. As long as you meet the basic visa requirements, then there's very little reason we wouldn't accept you. The exception might be the Outback program, where we just want to make sure you're up for rugged conditions and long days of hard work outdoors. Once you apply and pay a $250 deposit that goes towards the total program fee, we will contact you and walk you through the next steps in terms of getting your visa and preparing to travel. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can also reach out to us directly.
You can contact us at workabroad@interexchange.org or 1-800-597-3675. Again, we're going to answer a few questions that have come in through the live chat. If you have any more, feel free to chime in. Thanks for joining us, and let us know if there's anything at all that we can help with. We expect to hear from you during the planning phase, and you probably have some questions. So we hope that this has answered many of them, but let us know so that we can get you on your way on your work and travel adventure in Australia, Canada, Ireland, or New Zealand. Thanks a lot, everybody.